Hi, my name is Vanessa Williams, and I'm going to be a junior at USF. My major is marketing, and I'm hoping to minor in leadership. So after reading the Emotionally Intelligent Leadership and the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership books, the little readings that we had for this week, it was amazing to see how much the concepts that were listed in the books actually reflected in the film Invictus. I mean, with the leaders, the strong leaders, Nelson Mandela and Pinar, both of them definitely implement a lot of these characteristics, so it was just cool to see them tie in to like a real life situation. There were certain concepts and principles from the readings that were definitely implicated in the film Invictus. And I think one of the main concepts that I saw immediately was when Nelson Mandela was first put into office. He's trying to combat the segregation in South Africa. So it's funny because he's put into that position, and reading through the books early on, one of the key elements in the first book was to change the direction of the organization, change the leader. You know, if you have an issue, change. Change is the key. And so I think that's why Mandela was brought into this position, you know. He is going to change it for the better, you know, or at least they hope to. And so it goes back to the law of the lid. You know, your leader only goes as high as they're willing to go. And depending on how high and how much they're willing to give, that's how effective their leadership will be towards others and how much other people will follow. So if he sets the bar high and has high expectations, he'll exceed those expectations and his leadership will go very far. So I think it was just interesting to see that he really is the change, basically, that the country needs, you know? And it was also cool to see that I was reading about the position myth and the fact that when you're put into a position of power, a lot of times people just look at you like you automatically are the best leader on this planet. But what makes you a leader is not the position, it's what you do with the position. So the position doesn't make the leader makes the position. And I thought that was really cool. That was out of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership book. And I thought it applied here because just because he's made president doesn't mean he's going to be a good leader. It's what he does with it, you know? And so that was cool to see. And one more thing I took out of that portion was the consciousness of context. That was from the other book, the Emotionally Intelligent Leadership book. That was cool because I got to see how when you are put into an environment, you really have to shape that environment to your leadership, because if you don't shape it around your vision and around things like that, and you don't set a tone for your context or your environment, things may fall through, you know? You really need to have a good, positive environment that helps to connect people together and create a positive change. So I thought that was pretty cool. And a second part in the movie where I really saw leadership coming into play was simply the use of the Rugby World Cup to unite South Africans together, because that's basically that shared vision. You know, leadership starts with a vision. And when somebody can see that and can act upon it and has the guts and is willing to go through and put everything into that vision to make it happen, that's what creates the good leadership. So I think that shared vision was passed down not only from Mandela, but he passed it on to Pinar, he passed it on to all the rugby players, he passed it on to everybody in South Africa. And it's amazing because in the beginning of the movie, the South Africans wouldn't even cheer for their team. They would cheer for every other team but South Africa in the rugby tournaments and matches and things. And it's funny because at the end, when they get up and they're listening to the crowd go wild for South Africa, it's just crazy to see how much it changes. You know, that vision spreads to everybody, you know, through one single person's ideas. And I think that's really cool to see. And I think another big thing that I noticed was establishing relationships. And like I'm going to say later in the video, it's basically just connecting with people, you know? Connecting and getting to know people. He goes into that office when he first gets his position, and everybody's expecting to leave. They're all expecting that they're fired, they're everything. And he's sitting there saying, hold up, if you guys still want to work for me, I am totally cool with that. I want you guys to work with me. I want this to be a united front. And he's so cool with everybody. And he really just helps to establish those relationships outside and inside the workplace. He makes everybody feel comfortable. And you can see him walk in there and he's shaking everyone's hand. He's just really, really, really personable. I think that's cool. And the last thing is, like I said before, the consciousness of context. You know, when you're in an environment in your workplace, you need to be on. You know, you need to be with it. You need to be at attention and catering to everyone's needs, you know, because that's your job. That's part of it all. And if you can cater to everyone's needs and you can really give people what they want and need to help succeed in the same vision, that's the answer, you know? And it's cool because for all the people he meets along the way, all the random people, Pinar, you know, everybody, he just really makes some great relationships. And I think that's very cool. And then the last part of the movie that I thought was just, it was prime example of pure leadership was when Pinar pulls the team aside in the middle of the rugby match for the World Cup. And he looks at his team and he's like, basically saying to them, let's go. We've got this. You know, we have this in the bag. We can win this. All of the odds were against us, but look at we're rising above the odds. Let's do this. And he pushes them towards victory. And he expects no failure. He expects success, you know? And I think that shows the power of influence. You know, if you can have one person lead a full team to victory at the Rugby World match, there's influence with that, you know? He really influences them in such a positive way. It turns all of their attitudes up, you know? Just flips them around. And I think just establishing that influence and creating a group of followers that yet, in a way, are leaders themselves, I think that it shows more than anything, you know? He really, really leads by action and example. And he carries out that vision, you know, he's with them through their whole training, through everything, and he really leads them to victory, and I think that's very cool to see. Throughout this entire movie, Nelson Mandela is definitely a strong leader, and being put into presidency, he basically is thrown into the unknown. Whenever you're thrown into a huge position like that, you never know what to expect. So it's important for you to have certain skills and certain experiences that are going to help you to succeed through your leadership. And I think that in this film, Mandela definitely implements a leadership that's basically comprised of influence and faith. You know, he is very firm, unwavering. He's just a believer in rugby and in the unity that comes from it, and therefore I think his personal leadership skills as well, like how he individually invests time in everybody, and he'll go out of his way to say hi to everybody, you know, he'll make that extra, the just little bit extra, and he'll take it. And like, for instance, he goes through the line of the rugby team, and he was always shaking every single team player's hand, saying, "Good luck. Thank you. Good luck. You're going to do great." Stuff like that makes a big difference. When you really actually connect with people, that makes a big difference. And I think that's one of the skills that he needs as a president, and that more presidents out in the world need to have, you know? They need to be able to connect with people. So I think that was a skill he came in with right off the bat. Just basically his character, you know? He, I think, is a successful leader through his character because he has an open mind, you know. He's not afraid to try new things. He's all about change. He's very personable, and he has the ability to enable others to succeed. He has just a way of motivating people, and it's funny because a lot of times throughout the movie, people question him on whether or not what he's doing is right, and if they think it's really going to work, and why is he investing all this time in something he doesn't know if it's going to play out. But the thing is, if you have a strong vision and you have the ability to enable others and to help them push towards your vision, you're going to succeed. So I think he goes beyond that. He opens his mind to new possibilities, and he really achieves what he wants to achieve. And he'll stop at nothing to achieve it. I think being in prison, his past experiences, really helped to ignite kind of a passion and a fire in him to push forward with this idea. And I think without that experience, he wouldn't have had the same type of passion to really push South Africa towards unity. When Mandela first meets with Pinar, it's really important when he states the fact that a leader's job is to get followers to believe that you are capable of doing more than you think is possible, and more than they think is possible. Because, as stated in the book Emotionally Intelligent Leadership, in like the opening chapters, it takes two parts to have good leadership. You need a strong leader, and you need that person to then lead their followers and to get people to actually believe in what they believe in and share that vision, because nobody can do anything and lead anything on their own. It takes two parts. It takes multiple people to start something big. So I think it was very important for him to basically say, look, no matter how great of a leader you think you are, if you don't have followers, you're never going to get anywhere. And it was extremely important for Pinar to hear this, because he was being delegated like the role of being basically the head, the lead of the entire rugby team. And Mandela put so much of his hope and his faith in this team to be the one symbol and key element that would bring all of South Africa together. So for Pinar not to bring together the rugby team as a team and lead them to victory, it would all fall through. So I think it was very important for Pinar to hear this, because in anything, sports is such a great example of something that you really need teamwork to succeed. Because especially in rugby, I mean, if one person's slacking, another person's slacking or whatever, you're not going to get anywhere. And you need that one person, which happened to be Pinar, to kind of pick everybody's spirits up and motivate them and really instill confidence in them that they don't think they have. And considering the fact that like all the odds were against them for this World Cup rugby match, it was vital for him to really instill confidence in his teammates and get them to trust him. So I think that it was really important for Mandela to say that to him. And as far as leaders go and stuff like that, leaders can accomplish a goal, honestly, to me, by just working on their relationships with people and gaining that trust, gaining respect. Actually getting to know each person's individual life makes a huge difference, and it really helps to unite people together. So I think the fact that Pinar and Mandela, they make these great relationships with the guys and with everybody, and they create an environment which is just positive and builds people up. That's what helped them to succeed in the rugby match. I think Mandela's time in prison definitely shaped the way in which he became president and how he viewed presidency and leading. And I think basically his approach towards reuniting the country was so different because he was a victim of the segregation and the violent ways people would handle things, and the way segregation would tear white people apart from black people. And I think the fact that he was in prison firsthand and he had that experience against the segregation almost empowered him to take it and transform it into something positive. And instead of looking at a negative way of it all and coming into presidency and just taking it out on all of the people that were part of the segregation, stuff like that, he tries to unite everybody in a positive front. I mean, there's no threats, there's no anything. It's just through rugby, a sport. He's able to reunite all of these people together, you know what I mean? And I think that, honestly, if he didn't go through being imprisonment and everything like that, he may not have had as good of an understanding on what it takes to actually reunite a country. So I think through that and the way he's been able to turn his outlook into such a positive light all the time, I think that's what helped him to suddenly bring everybody together. So when people go through something traumatic in their life, there's one of two outcomes. Either they sink, basically, or they swim. So people can take an experience and they can be broken down from it. They can literally hit rock bottom and seem to have nothing. Or they can rise and triumph over their traumatic experience. And as far as Nelson Mandela goes, I think that he chose to rise and triumph over everything. And I actually saw a ULS lecture earlier in the past year, and a guy by the name of Dewey Bozella came to USF, and he actually told a story about how he was put in prison for 20 some years, just like Mandela, and he was a free man, so innocent. And it's funny because he's going around to schools talking about how you can make your life better, how you can do this, that, and everything else. And for what a bad experience he had, he's taking it and turning it into something good. And I think that's the same thing Mandela did. He reminds me a lot of him. So basically, you have two choices. The difference that separates, to me, like what I think, that separates between a person who will sink and a person who will swim is one that is weak and has low self-confidence, low self-esteem, no vision for any future, just a weak soul. Those are the people that are going to sink. They're the ones that are going to end up, taking their circumstance or their experience and making it 10 times worse and not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Those are the people that choose to give up. And then there's the natural born leaders, or you don't have to even be natural born, just to be a leader. Those are the people that'll triumph. They have a vision for something. They're able to see the positive, the optimistic. They set out plans. They set out goals. Those are the types of people that are going to triumph above anything else, no matter what life throws at them. And that's honestly a big, big lesson in leadership that's important to understand, because you have to be able to face obstacles that come in your path, and you have to just be able to take them in stride, roll with it, and keep going, keep moving forward. And so I think that's like a big difference. You know, if you have the confidence in yourself, if you have the support system, if you've got all of that, I have a feeling you'll triumph. And if you've got that self-determination, that's what's going to take you all the way to do anything you want to do. After reading the poem Invictus, there was definitely a deep message that came from it. And that basically was that no matter what life throws your way, you have to prevail and come out on top. And you have to stay strong and continue to be fearless and have the attitude of a positive outcome in the end. And so I decided to make this picture. And basically it's a guy standing at the edge of a cliff about to fall off. He's got fire on one side, no way to escape. There's a tiger, there's a meteor going his way, there's a plane about to crash into him. And these are all, you know, the types of things that literally will kill you within seconds. And yet he's still over there smiling, throwing his thumb up, saying it's okay, there's got to be a way out of this. And that just goes to show you that no matter what life throws your way, if you are positive and you have a good outlook on life, and you choose to see the, like, let's say, the glass half full instead of the glass half empty, you're going to be better off in life. And that's basically what this poem is trying to say. So the one clear phrase that stood out to me in the poem was the phrase, "My head is bloody, but I'm bowed." And that honestly to me stood out so much, because no matter what, like, violent or harsh circumstance you may be in, if you're able to unwaver and you're able to rise above it and survive, then that's what this is all about, you know. And so I just thought it was really cool how, like, the meaning of being able to fight back through positivity and conquer over your wildest dreams and nightmares was shown in this poem. So it was really cool to see. And I think as far as Mandela goes, this type of poem empowered him because of his situation of being in an imprisonment for however long, 20-some years. It's just amazing to see how he can come out of it and actually become a president, and instead of implementing change in a violent way, which was pretty much how he was treated, he decides to take the positive route and see a different side of change. And I thought that was really cool to see. Two other cool phrases that I thought really stuck out were, "I am the master of my fate." And to me that pretty much sums up leadership, as in it basically shows responsibility in leadership, as leaders are responsible for their major decisions, the actions that they make, and how they really impact all of their followers, All of the responsibility lies on them, so they literally determine their own fate, and I thought that was pretty cool. And the second phrase that I thought was neat was, "I am the captain of my soul." And to me that basically means that no one can lead you through your life but yourself. No one can ever be you and think like you. So it's up to you to lead both whatever you're doing and lead others. And in turn, if you lead through your soul and with soul and passion, it's only going to help to lead others. So to me, it's up to each and every one of us to make the difference and be that captain and stand out and try to make a difference. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be seeing you guys soon. Bye.